long journey across the street from the county courthouse. Commissioners Shireen Hess, Robin Gorman, and Mike Keith, all with us this morning. Hi, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Our conversation's brought to you by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. When last we caught up with you as a group, we were talking about, okay, that's the end of 2023. Let's look forward to 2024. Well, now it's here. Well, Commissioner Keith, you're the Commissioner's Chairman. The new year begins, and you got some work cut out for you here, don't you?
Well, that we do, and as you know we do. We have a lot of things to look forward to in 2024. Along with that, we have a lot of work to do with the county budget because, as we said when we passed it last month, that a lot of work ahead of us, and we're going to get on top of it and move forward with it.
Well, that's where it all starts with any county government is before you decide you're going to spend this or spend that, you have to decide how do we find the money to do anything. And budgeting is certainly a lovely endeavor that you have to undertake every year. And you really aren't certain of where the funds are going to come from when you deal with the state budget, where their fiscal year begins in June, and you've got 6 months before then. I don't know how you come up with that structure, but you manage to do it every year. What are some of the things that you're looking at this year?
Well, again, we basically all the county unions contracts have all reached an agreement now. We have one more left to move that forward. And then once we get through there, we're, take a look at the entire salaries and our benefits and look what we can do there. I mean, we did a lot of work before, especially on our health care program. One of the things we did a couple years ago is start moving forward to self-insured. And we actually are in a combination kind of status right now where it's fully funded, self-insured funded, and we did have a lot of savings there. We look forward to more savings, but again, it's just one of those things that we have to have in our operation.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about what we would like to see happen in Indiana County in 2024. Shireen Hess, you can step up to the microphone, take your swings now, as we talk about budget or whatever you'd like to see happen around Indiana County in this new year.
Well, the commissioner's right that a lot of the budget is pure math, and you have to have a number of dollars coming in to meet the needs that require the dollars to go out. So I think it is a 365-day-a-year kind of job to be looking at the budget, and we are. And then there are many challenges, as has been pointed out. But I think that in this era of technology and AI, as they say, there are things we can do to work smarter and not harder. And we'll explore those. But it does take time. And as we all know, things don't happen in government overnight. The wheels turn slowly a lot of times. But I think that we are a board that will work together and work with our colleagues in other counties to figure out how to work in those partnership type ways, and with our business community and our educational community and all the folks that provide services here. So, yes, it's the dollars are on our minds, but also on our minds is getting the services to the people that need them. And we've been hearing about that increasing need, especially in food and housing. Certainly, we are seeing a lot of housing issues all over the country, all over the world. There seems to be a housing shortage. So, and we've got to keep on doing our 911, emergency management, elections. We got a big election coming up this year. That takes preparation year round itself. So counties always get it done. So we're on it.
Commissioner Robin Gorman, let's get your perspective on the start of the new year.
Well, I always appreciate your perspective, Todd, and how you introduce the topic, because a lot of people, until you're in a position like this, don't really understand budgeting at any level, right? They don't understand federal, they don't understand state, they don't understand municipal level. And what's really funny about that is we deal with that because they all work on different timelines, calendar years, fiscal years, et cetera. And yet we have to be responsible through a lot of our departments who work with all three of those budgeting processes and grants and funding and deadlines and et cetera. So our work never stops, even though the year ends, right? It's what was left over from last year. What were the impacts from those budgeting decisions, and how do we continue county government services at our level, knowing what we know and going into a new year? So my two colleagues hit a lot of them on the head, but, broadband continues for us. We've said we won't stop until we've got the county covered. We meant that. So that will keep us all connected and keep going on that topic. Obviously, emergency services, that was a late incomer last year with the rate increase and not enough. But so how do we fill that gap, and how do we keep going with that? And the mental health base funding that did not go to communities, which would be our service providers in the community, but to education. And how do we get in with our educational partners, understand how they're using those dollars, and when those things begin to hit in our community services, how we're all partnered to face those things together.
Yeah. Commissioner Keith, I want to ask you, because I know that you have pretty extensive experience in this area. When we talk about, and Commissioner Hess mentioned it, 911 and its needs in Indiana County, I don't think that there's a better dollar spent than a dollar that is spent on 911 services and on our emergency responders. Is that just me, or is that the way that you and the other commissioners look at it too? That 911 is so vitally important to the way that we operate here in Indiana County.
Well, it is because when it was the inception of 911 was back in the mid '70s. I mean, it was a system that was set up because I can remember in the fire company then we had what we called a fire phone, and if you had a fire, you called. Regular, it was a 254-2110 back there for Commodore.
Still remember the number?
Oh yeah, and that was the phone you called, and you hoped that because it went to somebody's residence, you hoped one out of three residents picked up and then turned the switch on for the siren. In the inception of 911, again, you hope that somebody's on the other end of that dispatching line to dispatch, the right EMS needs. And so a lot of people don't understand, but if they look at their phone bill, they had a surcharge of $1.65 until, coming into 2024, we're going to get a raise on that. But again, $1.65 for every phone per month is charged to run that operation. Now, when that operation went into effect, it was not to be at all on any of the county. It was to actually take care of itself and sustain that 911 system through the funds. Well, we're coming on to a point that if it doesn't get to a certain level, and if that thing would have sunset at the end of January 2024, that would have been $2.4 million that the county would have had to pick up. Yeah. Again, unfunded mandate. But again, right now the legislation's working on that to actually look for the structure of the increases to, again, cover that entire 911 system. So, it's definitely a need because, again, if you don't have any, you can have all the equipment out there sitting in the station, but if that phone call wasn't picked up and actually being dispatched, nothing happens.
Yeah. I remember growing up where I did in Bolivar, there was a chalkboard in the fire station, and when a call came in, they would write down the location of the fire, and then as the firemen came by, they'd stop, look at the chalkboard, to know where to go.
Yeah.
That's the way you did things. Commissioner Hess, I want to ask you about something I know has been very close to you lately and in the past several years, and that is solar energy in Indiana County. We've become a real leader in solar energy. I don't think people anticipated that Indiana County would step up like that.
Well, speaking of the technology that has improved lives, and you talk about 911 and all those things, but yeah, solar energy is a big deal in Indiana County. We've had 3 co-ops, and that all that means is if somebody wants to explore the idea of putting solar on their household or their business, there's this mechanism by which you can sign up and get information and get the particulars for your property and whether it's a good idea or not based on all the factors that go into it. And then the group contracts with one provider, so you get a savings. You get some economies of scale and that kind of thing. So yeah, we've as a residential cooperative, we did a lot of things there, and I think we're going to get another cooperative going sometime this year.
That was my question.
Yeah. So through the Sustainable Task Force, they're working on that. I don't know all the particulars. There's a lot going on, and solar is just one part of all the federal funding that's being drawn down to help communities like coal communities like Indiana and Western PA and all over the nation actually to do revitalization projects in their communities. There's been a lot of decline and a lot of displaced workers, and the whole workforce issue is a big deal. So we look forward to maybe drawing down some of those funds. And, when I was talking earlier, I meant to say another big help to county government is our nonprofit sector. And that's where a lot of those dollars are going to go, to the nonprofit sector, to work with workforce and communities on bringing in new things, new beautification efforts, or amenities, recreational opportunities, and also things to help the workforce, to help people who've not been a part of or been outside of the workforce efforts to date. Yeah. So lots of good stuff going on.
Commissioner Gorman, just a moment or so left with you. I wanted to talk about how you're going to be out there stringing wires for the broadband while you're also building the bridge over 22 down there, in the pedestrian bridge.
And getting in that truck to plow the roads for everybody, right?
Yeah. People have wish lists, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do.
And it would be lovely if we could fulfill all those wishes, but there are realities.
Yeah, there are realities. And what's interesting is you really touched it with Commissioner Keith and Commissioner Hess in two different ways. And workforce is an issue. And I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody, to be honest. In Brush Valley, we faced about a 48-hour road closure on 56 this past weekend. And I truly watched every service provider come to the attention and the rescue of a gentleman that actually climbed out of a car, and I don't know how he did. But Pennsylvania Electric Company is like, you cannot appreciate them enough, getting up on those poles in wind and cold and fixing something like that in record time, to be honest. All of their workers, having been out all weekend long with the trees and everything, they timed out, and they had a mandatory, you had to be off work, right? You can't be up on a pole and have 16 hours and be tired and risk your life. Mm-hmm. So I just give a huge shout out to those guys. They are just amazing. And then to watch our emergency services follow on, the ambulance that came and help this guy. And we know the shortages. We know these kinds of things that are going on, and yet they still come. Our fire department that sat and blocked the road because the transformer was right in the middle for 48 hours. These guys don't even get paid to do that. And they're keeping us safe and doing their jobs for us. I just can't thank them all enough for what they do. And yes, the monies, we talk about 911, and a lot of people don't understand that's just the dispatch system. That's 911. That's not ambulance and follow-on services. And as Commissioner Hess talked about, around all the issues, whether it's nonprofit or anything that we're doing to try and tackle problems in this community, it's often what's called the follow-on services that are needed to keep people safe or to get them in the right programs, to get them the help and treatment into recovery and into a better life. So great topics this morning for all of us.
Well, we're glad that you were all able to come over in the blizzard here this morning, the blizzard of January 17th and 16th. Visit with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Our
Todd.
county commissioners with us this morning. It's Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.